Angry Birds, a mobile gaming genre from just a regular mobile game app to becoming a big global phenomenon in the 2010s. The success of this series lead Rovio, the company creating Angry Birds, wants to turn this series into a brand which not going what it used to. Now, if you watched my last video called The Future of Angry Birds and the history of hashtag #2012, I give you the history of the movement as a whole and the future of Angry Birds franchise going forward. As of right now, Angry Birds is becoming a shell of its former self, with tons of games that are filled with microtransaction in our purchases, and add that some advertising the newer Angry Birds games are filled with movie design and that are copying popular mobile games like Candy Crush, for example. Now, all of this that I described here is my last video, so please watch it before this. Now, if you're one of those who watched that video, you know that the fans were pissed off, you know that my new campaign going forward at the end, and what my new plan is to revive Angry Birds by respecting the source material of the original game. This is my second video of the first one, that deep dive into the history of the last campaign, which Rovio is part, and supporting the campaign, which then a few years turned them back. If you, like me, are sick of what Rovio is doing to the franchise, I know. However, I haven't gotten what my plan is or what my campaign is, and what we'll do if Rovio will respond to every play just like the last campaign did, which ended badly. So today, in my second video of the first one, I will deep dive into what my plan is gonna be, and also the lesson from the last campaign which failed at least. So without further ado, I'm covering the plan of the campaign of reviving Angry Birds. So to start on what the plan is, we need to learn the lesson of the last campaign of it. Hashtag BringBack2012. If you watched the last video of it, I covered the history of the movement called hashtag BringBack2012. A campaign started in 2018 by Maximus Overdrive, whose purpose was to bring back the original Angry Birds games they grew up with, which was a movement whose purpose was to bring back the pick-up Angry Birds in 2012. If you know I will start I laid in my last video, you know that 2012 was the best year for Angry Birds as a whole. It was everywhere, from new games, new theme parks, new ideas to the world of Angry Birds, to promote it in their website, to even NASA promoted it to educate what gravity was. I keep using this so I didn't even know that Angry Birds was everywhere, and I haven't even gotten all the stuff that happened in 2012, so you just know that Angry Birds was everywhere, from space to pigs, got their own game, to crossover over the most popular franchise in pop culture called Star Wars, for example. So what I described here, the movement is to bring back the pick-up Angry Birds, which was mostly why Bring Back 2012 was created. They could maybe do in 2011 or 2010, but 2012 I think was the perfect choice in my eyes. And that it is. They wanted the original back at its peak. Then maybe hashtag Bring Back 2012 is. A new campaign was to bring Angry Birds at its peak. And I think this campaign was successful, although not too successful, which Sonny thought about, even after the classic games was removed. The movement was the key word of this since then. Rovio, I guess, known about this and thought maybe the company through that was the main goal, which led to the next part. So in 2021, Rovio responded to the fans and apologized for what they did, and to appeal to the fans, they redeveloped the original Angry Birds games, which in a few years later, now called Rovio Classic Angry Birds, which was a redevelopment of the original Angry Birds game from 2009, which is funny because they said 2012 is back. Although the original Angry Birds game was not released in 2012, but you'll get what I mean. But in 2023, they decided to Uno reverse and remove the Rovio Classic Angry Birds games, and all the fans were pissed again. Now here is my theory on this. Theory 1. First, Rovio thought the re-release of the classic games was too risky and not popular enough for the business standpoint, and because of the newer games that are designed for in-app purchases, microtransactions, and ads that are good for profits and not for the business standpoint, Rovio thought the re-released classic game was not popular enough for it, so they decided to remove it, and that's the same applied to the other classic games that were released a few decades ago. And that's for Rovio, newer Angry Birds games are the reason for allowing it to survive. And Theory 2, Rovio thought it would be a great scheme for the older fans to go up with the classic games and decided to trick them to believing they're on our side and fall into that trap, which then leads the older fans to lose faith in this franchise and move to the newer fans who will not know what the classic Angry Birds games are about. Mr. Retro Geek deep dived into the older fans and the newer fans were in this video in 2020 before all of this. In his video, Retro Geek described the Angry Birds fans divided into the older fans and the newer fans. The older fans who will grow up with the classic Angry Birds games that are effective to make and good quality games. Meanwhile, the newer fans who will grow up with the newest games that are microtransactions in their purchases and ads that are advertising the newer Angry Birds games that are movie designed and that no one cares about the classic ones. The balance between them was difficult, and having a split fans was harder for company to make a bunch of profit on it. And for Rovio to make a future Angry Birds game, it will go to satisfy for the older fans while the other fans were not. So Rovio needed a balance to appeal both the newer Angry Birds fans and the older Angry Birds fans, because without it, the balance was gonna fall. And for Rovio, this is not going to work. So they appeal to the newer fans who are fans who will grow up with the newer games or who are microtransactions in their purchases and ads that are advertising the newer Angry Birds games. And what you know, the balance were falling into the other half, which lead the older fans pissed. So for Rovio, they decided to re-release classic games that appeal to the older fans and remove the game completely, just so for the older fans lose faith in this franchise and the balance without the older fans were fixed. And that is exactly why I think Rovio is doing this, to fall into that trap. And it worked. Rovio got the scheme work, and the older fans losing faith in this franchise, and the balance without it were fixed, but not the way it satisfied the newer Angry Birds fans, which a few years later has the newer fans even more pissed. And that is my theory. If you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments below. I know this thing was not what it is, but that's just a theory, an Angry Birds theory. So what I describe here is the older fans were sick of what this franchise going for, which leads the campaign called #BackToBrowser 12 while the other half who grew up with the modern version of Angry Birds were not sure what the other half was doing. Meanwhile, Rovio was walking a tightrope with the older fans and the newer fans, and when the other half were pissed, Rovio falling off the tightrope, and in doing so, Rovio appealed to the other side of the fan base, which then appealed to the newer fans even more than the older fans, and in order for Rovio to destroy them, they decided to re-release the original game for the older fans, and then a few years fall into that trap and got removed from App Store and Google Play Store, causing the older fans to lose faith in this franchise and probably causing Rovio falling off the tightrope, which then leads the company bought by Sega, which not gonna satisfy the newer fans to appeal to them. So in hindsight, Rovio pissed off the older fans who were not happy with the franchise as a whole, and the newer fans are wondering who needs this. Let's move on to the other one I care about, which then also lead to right now, Angry Birds is going to decline after a few years of Angry Birds games that are overintroduced, microtransactions, and in-app purchases into the audience throats. And since then, no new Angry Birds games are coming around that time, and even if they did, they use AI to develop all the new Angry Birds games like Angry Birds Block Quest just to save a lot of money, which anger a lot of people around the internet and anger a lot of Angry Birds fan base. And the last news we've gotten is the production of the third installment of the Angry Birds movie trilogy. It's still going on, and as of recording this time produced by a different studio called Paramount Pictures instead of Sony and Columbia Pictures, and only Rovio's last hope to save the Angry Birds franchise after all they have done. I don't think us, the Angry Birds fans, have a voice to be heard for our last hope. The last time our voice has been heard we fell into that trap to believe in Rovio's machine. So, how can my movement avoiding the same path as the last one that fall into this scheme? Well, here is my plan is to not repeat the same as the last one. Number 1. Respect the source material of the original game they came in the first place. TV shows, movies, books, and video games have all adapted of the original master they came in. There were some worse, some that were better than the original masters can. All of these TV shows, movies, and video games have adapted of the original master if they appeal to the fans of the original they came in, and respect the original despite some changes to appeal to the newer fans who not know what the original master came in with. Without respect of the source material and the flaws of it, fans of the original masters are not happy of the new ones disrespecting the original and bash them to not respect them, and that the adaptation would be far worse than the original. The same things happened to Angry Birds and the fans who grew up with the original games they came in the first place. Although not alright like Angry Birds Reloaded for example, and of course talking about Angry Birds movie, which despite its flaws, still captures the format of the original Angry Birds, as that include the movie design in this game, which I agreed was overintroduced if they follow the format of the original and respect the source material if they do it accurately. Number 2. Nostalgia is not the best way to revive Angry Birds. The original hashtag BringBack 2012 was to bring back the original Angry Birds back where they used to be, after the classic games got removed from App Store and Google Play Store, and campaign is to bring the nostalgia back into the modern day. What they failed to realize is that even if they were going to come back, they were not going to appeal to the newer fans, which is why for Rovio to bring back the original game, they meant bring back all the stuff before the mother sub and the updates of it, which is why the re-release of the classic Angry Birds that have a single dollar that won't work for the people who can't afford. I think bringing back the games without acknowledging that the original game that makes them good cause not only Rovio confused what makes them original or what it used to, but also redeveloping the original game instead of re-releasing of the classic games a decade ago, which then the re-release got removed. Number 3. Bring back all the classic Angry Birds games a decade ago. Rovio removed all the classic Angry Birds games like Season, Rio, Space, Star Wars, and many other games in the early 2010s was the final nail in Rovio's coffin. Remove all the original they came in the first place was the main reason fans were pissed off, and the backlash of it and its downfall behind this. Just so for Rovio to advertise newer games are filled with microtransactions and not purchasing and ads into these games. And when they did hurt them, they redeveloping the original game that you had to pay for it, bug issues, and like Rovio did, they removed of the re-release of this again. And the letter to the fan article on why the game got removed, saying that the older games got removed because of older technology that won't work on modern technology, which is just BS, because we know that is not true, because we have Bad Piggies and Angry Birds friends that made on older technology is still work and still on the App Store and Google Play Store. If that were true and thought about it, then maybe Bad Piggies and Angry Birds friends will be removed from App Store and Google Play Store as of right now. Instead of reviving the classic ones a few decades ago like Bad Piggies for example, they decided to redevelop it, and with crap like this happened and it got removed again. This is Rovio as of now. They don't care of the source material of the original they started with, and the decision to us download these newer games that are filled with microtransactions and not purchased and ads into our eyes and milk the crap out of it. This is something that no one in the gaming series and genres are gonna use for, and the fact that this is going on to this day is frustrating. They literally shoot themselves in the foot, which then leads to my last part. Number 4. They new people that work for Rovio that respect the source material of the original game. Gaming development are the reason we have games in the first place. They are passionate and know what they're doing for the general audience that think them. Rovio on what they're doing is putting crap of these employees, and in return, Rovio made a game that is made by the AI to develop this game like Angry Birds Block Quest. Rovio is proof that no one listens to these fans and the people who work for it. Instead of listening to them and their struggles, they decided that money is the only way to save the franchise. Greed was the main reason that led to their downfall, and they said that shit like this is led to the downfall of Angry Birds as we know it. To answer what the future of Angry Birds is gonna look like is kinda hard to predict. With the last one being the Angry Birds Block Quest, which I could tell was not going well with AI being involved with this. And to be honest though, I don't think Angry Birds gonna survive with all the stuff I laid in this video if Rovio keep doing greedy stuff. The last voice was heard was crushed after Rovio doing greedy stuff and forced us to play the newer Angry Birds games that are overintroduced. No matter how we fight back, no matter what the future is gonna look like, it's impossible for Rovio to completely Angry Birds is keep doing this if the franchise is going the same path over and over again. We are at the point that this franchise is becoming irrelevant in the modern day. The downfall of Angry Birds is in full swing. No one in the entire world cared about Angry Birds as a whole. And I don't think the third installment of the Angry Birds movie is gonna be successful if the downfall of the source material is still going on. However, by that point, the third movie is the only last hope for Rovio to get Angry Birds back it used to be. However, if Rovio keep doing the exact same greedy tactic over and over again, then I don't think the third movie gonna rank at the box office but the first and the second one. If that happens, then I think the third installment will be the death of Angry Birds if the movie gonna flop at the box office numbers and not following the format of Angry Birds like in the second movie did, and the Angry Birds will become irrelevant and becoming a shadow of its former self for future generations. Which where we are today, we are at the point that Angry Birds is becoming irrelevant and at some point going downhill, in which we kinda don't know what the future will be. Maybe it will turn out successfully, maybe it will not be successfully like it was 5 years ago. But if Rovio keep doing the same greedy tactic like it did 5 years ago, then this franchise will become a shadow of its former self. But if things could change for the company, like CEO give a face or have new people that work for the company that carries the source material of the original game, then maybe Angry Birds will go back where it used to be if it's done correctly and for the fans who grew up with the original game they grew up with. To be fair though, when I was writing this script, I was still trying to make some sense of what my campaign is all about. I was trying to what my plan is, what the difference between this campaign and the other campaign, but even with all the things we could resist, how come we learned to fund it, there is no way if we follow the same trap as the last campaign is, because the last time they do it, it got crushed. But if things do change for the better, maybe Angry Birds will go back and in the right track. If the new people who respect the original game bring back the original one a decade ago, or if they license the game between other properties like Disney for example, partnering with Rovio to bring Rio and Star Wars back into Angry Birds, then there is some hope that Angry Birds will back where it was like it was in the 2010s. We could possibly tell Rovio to respect the original game and possibly making a new game that follows the format of the original and new ideas to satisfy the new fans and the old fans, then I think Angry Birds will be revived and becoming successful again like other gaming genres before. But that's just my thoughts. I hope this video that inspired you to what the future of this franchise going forward and other people's plan what it was than mine was. And with Angry Birds go down into decline like a forest fire, with many of us surviving this landscape of ash, we planted this old idea a few decades ago began to regrow. Hopefully this time we will achieve this just so to respect Angry Birds not going for the nostalgia reason, and hopefully we get newer Angry Birds games that respect the original and satisfy the older fans and the newer fans. If you want to see this happening right now, then type hashtag respect Angry Birds and hashtag bringback2012. I will be the one involved in this campaign, and I hope with respect for the older fans and the newer fans for this movement, and discussion and debate on what Angry Birds would be like, whether it was for the movie design or the original design. And I will be posting some Angry Birds content on this channel if I had to, like I will be reviewing Angry Birds games old and new, and probably news of the Angry Birds movie 3 that will come out in a few years when the news gonna come out. I will be here when the news of this franchise going forward, and I hope we learn that we don't follow the same trap as the last campaign, because it's our hope for Angry Birds fans and the entire mobile gaming genre. If you want more videos on Angry Birds content like this, then subscribe to my channel and turn the notification on so you don't miss the new video I'm currently working on. So thank you for watching my plan, and spread the messaging right now. Hashtag respect Angry Birds and hashtag bring back 2012.